It's time for fantasy.
Number 34 on the offense is on my fantasy team. So, touchdown.
Versus reality.
Break out the red panties. We're rich, baby.
With Levac and Goss on 104.5 The Team.
Levac and Goss here with you on 104.5 The Team. It is 4 o'clock on a Friday. Although Levac is off, he's back on Monday, but he's making a special appearance here on a Friday for fantasy versus reality. Levac, it wasn't a great week for you last week, though.
No, you know what it is, man? I think I'm in one of those positions where I'm trying to outthink myself, and it's just not working out for me. So this week, look out, buddy, because I'm not thinking at all.
You're not thinking at all. That's a mindset to have. By the way, I'm glad you're doing this. I thought you were off to see Star Wars this morning.
Yeah, well, you see what had happened about 8 o'clock last night, the orange roof symbol went up in the air, and I had to rush over and empty all the beers at Hooters until about, I think it was about, I don't remember. I have to check my Uber app to see what time I got home. So I did not make it to Star Wars.
Okay. All right, very good. By the way, my record this past week was 1-1-1. When it's within 0.5 projections for PPR leagues, I go with the tie, so the record stand is this. My record right now in the season is 20-23-2, which gives me a .465 winning percentage. Levac right now 19-26 with a 42% winning percentage. Only 2.5 back, though, because of those ties, so that's not so bad. I'm going to go first this week. I'm going to lead off with mine, all right?
Listen, I told you, no thinking over here. Whatever you want.
All right, remember, we're talking PPR projections here. Not necessarily the person you're going to start in your lineup, but someone who's going to beat the projections according to PPR projected by ESPN.com. All week long, whether it's our guy Field Yates yesterday, whether it's Matthew Berry, maybe somebody on Yahoo, ESPN.com, everybody loves this same quarterback for fantasy football playoffs, and if everybody likes him, I guess I'll follow the trend because nobody else really has a great matchup this week. That's why this guy's becoming more popular. And that quarterback is Blake Bortles from the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's right. Last week, I bet against the Houston Texans defense with Jimmy Garoppolo, and yardage-wise, Garoppolo had a nice game. Give it to me again here with Blake Bortles. Everybody's saying to take Blake Bortles. The Texans this season still have allowed the 4th most fantasy points to wide receivers and quarterbacks this season. So, Blake Bortles, a nice matchup there. Daily fantasy leagues especially, a lower price for Blake Bortles, whose projections 15.5, even better for me. 15.5, so all I need is 230 yards through the air, a touchdown and a pick, and if it's a close game against Houston, get a little more yardage here and there. Give me Blake Bortles as my play here at the quarterback position to beat projected PPR scoring.
I thought I was the one who wasn't thinking Blake Bortles. You're right. Here we go. Let's roll with this. So there's Saturday night games this week. So you know what? Let's start on Saturday night. The battle of the AFC West. A thinking man might get into this and go, well, Kansas City's at home, and they need to show some toughness here. But a non-thinking man is just going to go with the best team in the AFC West. That's the Los Angeles Superchargers. They are laying 1 point on the road. I think the Chargers are the best team in the West. It stings my very soul to say it out loud. So I'm taking the Chargers. I'm laying the point, and I think that Alex Smith will look rough in this one. He'll have Joey Bosa chase them all over the field. And I hate that I even said the word thing. I know that Joey Bosa is going to chase them all over the field. The Chargers are the better team. Give me the Chargers. I'll lay the point. That's what non-thinking does for you.
Yeah, that's a big move right there. If the Chargers pull off that win on a Saturday night, Bills fans would be thrilled. And like you said, Levac, unfortunately, it's an AFC West matchup where your Raiders need some help on Sunday night against the Cowboys. I'm going to move on to running back position now, and it's somebody who's near and dear to your heart. Talking about that Sunday night football game, Raiders versus Cowboys. Give me running back beast mode, Marshawn Lynch, to beat his PPR projections this week. One of the more underrated storylines of the NFL season is what's going to happen in the offseason with beast mode. Is he going to come back to the Raiders? Does he want to come back to the Raiders? Does he want to go through training camp? Is he going to retire, then unretire again? And flat out, do Raider fans want Marshawn Lynch back? Because at the beginning of the season, he wasn't great. We know what he's done with Marcus Peters and other teams, defending other teams' players and not Raider players. But from fantasy football perspective, He's been pretty good the past 5 weeks. How about a touchdown every week the past 5 weeks? Now he gets the matchup against the Dallas Cowboys, who sit right in the middle when it comes to giving up points to running backs in fantasy football. 15th most points allowed to running backs in fantasy football. All Marshawn Lynch has to do to beat his projection this week is give me 65 yards, 2 catches, and a touchdown. So that's about a 14.2 projection. 14.2 in PPR leagues. Marshawn sits right around the middle of the road. If the Raiders need to lead on the run game, this is a spot where Marshawn Lynch can do it, and the Raiders, believe it or not, can still stay in contention for a playoff spot. Give me your guy Beast Mode to have a nice fantasy football weekend on Sunday night.
I love that because I am in 2 playoff games in different leagues, and I have Beast Mode in both of those games. So I hope you're right for a change, which stings me again to my very soul. Speaking of not thinking, when I think of an organization that doesn't think, I think of the Washington Redskins. You know, they're sitting here, and they're a decent team that nobody talks about. They've had their good games, they have their bad games. I think they're going to have a good game when they host the Cardinals, and the reason I think that is that the Cardinals are probably going to be where Kirk Cousins plays next year. So he's going to go audition. He's going to go off against these guys and have a great game. No Adrian Peterson, no Carson Palmer, versus a team with, I think, guys, are you running the football this week for the Redskins?
I'm waiting for the call.
Okay, well, I'm not sure who it's going to be, but I'm not really worried about it. I think they'll get it done, especially considering one of the greatest online hoaxes that has happened in a long time, the Washington Red Hawks, I finally learned about this week. It isn't true. I'm in. Did you see that yet?
Yes, the hoax fake news website that said the name was finally getting switched in Washington.
Yes, and it looks, and you know what? They've done more thinking in that fake hoax than the Redskins have done all year. I will take the Washington Red Hawks, and I will lay the 4 points at home.
Yeah, that's a good pick there, too. All Kirk Cousins, that game feels like it's going to be like a 12-9 final or like a 12-3 final. All Cousins has to do is get them in the end zone, and the Washington Red Hawks, the Redskins, the racial slurs, whatever you want to call them, the Washington team might be able to prevail. My last pick here, wide receiver / tight end position here, fantasy football PPR. This is one of these rare occasions where I knew the player I wanted and didn't even want to look at the projections. Knowing the matchup and what was going to happen, I look and said, this is the guy I want. Projections okay, but I knew I wanted Michael Thomas as my pick this week, wide receiver for the New Orleans Saints. Sorry, Jet fans. It was rough last week. It's not going to get much better this week. 16-point underdogs on the road to New Orleans with Bryce Petty or Christian Hackenberg getting snaps for you against Drew Brees, a Saints team that needs this push for the playoffs. Yeah, it's not a great matchup. Now, I know the secondary is good for the Jets, but how long are they going to be on the field? It's going to be all day long for Drew Brees and company. And how about the stat why Michael Thomas might have a big game? I get he's ranked right now 4th amongst wide receivers with a 16.5 projection. I get he's a top 10 player in overall running backs, wide receivers, or tight ends. But when it comes to fantasy football, two of the New Orleans Saints running backs are projected within the top 3. I don't know if I've ever seen that before. 2 of the top 3 running backs on the same team projected to have a huge game, so just give me Michael Thomas. All I need, 6 catches, 50 yards, and a touchdown. He beats his projection. Give me Michael Thomas against the New York Jets this weekend.
All right, here we go. Still not thinking and proving it every chance I get when I look at this playoff scenario. I think Goff and the Rams have been stellar. They've been a powerful team, but I don't think he's ready for what's going to happen when he takes on my still MVP of the league, Russell Wilson and the Seahawks. When Wilson and the Seahawks get their act together, they play at a great level, even with the Legion of Boom being the Legion of Baby Boom or Older Boom or whatever, backup Boom. There's still some boom in that Legion. I'm going to go ahead and take the Seahawks. I'm going to lay the 2.5 points over the Rams. Go ahead, Ken and Latham. Give me a call. I'm ready for you. Give me the Seahawks. I'm laying the 2.5 points.
All right, let's recap our picks now. Fantasy versus reality. Even though Levac has an off day, he's still calling in to make sure our competition continues. I'll go first with the recap. Quarterback position. Every fantasy expert loves this play. And I've come to find out it's not so much about the player, it's more about some of the bad matchups that are across the land here in fantasy football. And that's why people like for a play this week, and I'm with them. Jacksonville Jaguar quarterback Blake Bortles against the Houston Texans. Bortles is right around 15 points for projections. All he needs is 230, a touchdown, and a pick. Texans top 5 in most fantasy football points allowed to quarterbacks. Give me Blake Bortles at quarterback. Running back, Oakland Raider running back Marshawn Lynch against the Dallas Cowboys Sunday night. 14.2 projected fantasy points. Lynch has scored 5 weeks in a row for the Raiders. Cowboys middle of the road when it comes to allowing fantasy football points. Lynch's future might be on the line in the NFL, both for the Raiders and any other team, because he's been okay. Bad first half of the season. Give me Marshawn against the Cowboys on Sunday night. And I rounded out with one of my better projections. I think this guy has a huge game against the Jets. Wide receiver Michael Thomas for the New Orleans Saints, ranked top 10 in running back, wide receiver, and tight end projection, top 4 in wide receivers. Play Michael Thomas. Expect him to have a huge game against the Jets indoors in New Orleans.
All right, let's see if I can muster up enough of my nonsense to tell you what I actually think this week. As I went 0-3 last week, looking to go 3-0 this week. I've got the Chargers. They're just the better team. I'll lay the 1 point over the Kansas City Chiefs. The Washington Redskins with Kirk Cousins at the helm. Cousins is auditioning for a job. One of the places he's most likely to go is Arizona. The Cardinals have nobody left. I mean, Larry Fitzgerald was around going, I remember having a team when the season started, and they're going to go ahead and they're going to win that one. I'll lay the 4 points with the Redskins. Finally, the Seahawks over the Rams, 2.5 points. The Seahawks are still proving that they are a playoff team. The 12th man will be loud. The Rams will be in trouble. I'll take the Seahawks, and I'll go ahead and lay the 2.5 points.
There it is, fantasy versus reality. Levac, you are back on Monday. I am off. So I will see you again Tuesday, my friend. Have a good weekend.
You too. I will try to avoid, what's that thing, alcohol. And maybe I'll see Star Wars before I get in there on Monday.
All right, dude. I'll talk to you later. See ya.